Good morning, everybody. This is Van Hargis with Van Hargis Horsemanship, and welcome to our little drive over to the ranch today. A little episode here we call the Ranch Road. Appreciate you guys who are following us regularly. Appreciate you guys doing so. For those of you who are just discovering us, I appreciate you popping in on us. And this is something we do each and every day. We just take a little brief ride over to the ranch here from the house, and on that ride, we try to be productive in the sense of helping folks with a little bit more about horsemanship and humanship. Just basically typical things that we talk about on a daily basis here in our program, and our intern program especially. We have these conversations quite a bit with our intern students here. Oops, I got to put this darn seatbelt on even though we're out here in the country. Never hurts to abide by the laws, right? Today I want to talk to you guys about lightness. You know, I guess everybody's definition about well, let's face it, man. Everybody's definition about horsemanship, everybody's definition about a broke horse is different. Everybody's definition of what lightness is different. So I'm just going to kind of share with you guys some things that I call light. What is light? Now, if I had to define it, I would say that I want from a horse, I want an immediate, understood response without resistance. All right, I'm going to repeat that. An immediate, understood response without resistance. And I think it's probably the understood aspect of that, and it's that resistance aspect of that most people have trouble with. Everybody wants an immediate response. You know, when they ask their horse to do something, they want an immediate response. So they understand that part of it. But when we say understood, then I want to kind of clarify that a little bit. For example, I had a guy one day, he was riding a horse, and I mean, you could just tell this sucker was as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. It was doing lots of cool stuff, but I don't think a single thing was being done deliberately. And what I mean by that is he was bragging at one point, said, "Oh man, watch this horse side pass." I know, and this horse was definitely moving sideways and doing all kinds of stuff. My question was it doing it on purpose? In other words, was it doing it out of anxiety and out of response to what he was cueing it to do? Or was the horse just prancing around just as nervous as a cat? And you couldn't tell. So in his mind, his definition, this horse was broke and it was doing really good. In my definition, there was no buttons really there. We just had a lot of anxiety and a lot of reaction and not a lot of response. But immediate, understood response. And what I mean by that understood part is I want the horse to understand what he's been asked to do. In other words, if we put a leg cue on him, we want him to know exactly what that means and then make the appropriate response accordingly. And that's with everything that we ask him. If we pick up on the bridle reins, we want that horse to be responding immediately, quietly, and with understanding. You see, and the reason the understanding thing to me is so important is that lends to a tremendous amount of confidence. I like to ride a horse that's confident. I like to ride a horse that's really working hard to succeed because they know, they're confident that an answer exists, and they're confident in themselves that they work hard to find that answer, and they just had that innate desire to kind of want to please us to find that answer. Honestly, that's what I'm looking for in the training process, is to develop that immediate response, that immediate understood response. And I want that to be quiet, understood, and relaxed. Okay, now, I'm going to give you guys another example of what I might refer to as light. Many years ago, I had an opportunity to go spend 10 days with Mr. Tom Dorrance. And honestly, as far as my horsemanship goes, it was probably one of the best 10 days I've ever spent in my life. We talked a lot about philosophy. Honestly, if I look back at it, we didn't get a whole heck of a lot done. But I learned an unbelievable amount. And what I learned was what lightness really was. For example, we had some 3-year-old colts that had pretty much never been handled. And our goal was to get these colts caught, worked in the round pen, and eventually started under saddle. And back then, Mr. Dorrance was probably, I don't know, he was probably already in his mid-80s, so he didn't do a whole heck of a lot. So he coached guys like me to try to get something done with the horses. Well, he had me go in and rope one of the colts, but with a breakaway Honda. I just happened to have one. I carried a rope bag up there with me for whatever reason, and I happened to have one in there, and I had that breakaway Honda, and I think he saw it. He asked me a little bit about it, and you could almost just see his little wheels turning. And so we ended up working those colts, and every one of them that I roped, he had me do it with that breakaway Honda. And why, you might ask? Well, you see, that breakaway Honda, if you understand how that works, is that when you pull pressure a certain amount, that breakaway Honda breaks loose. So he had me work that colt with only enough pressure that it would take to let the horse feel it and have an opportunity to make a decision, respond, or react. But if I pulled too hard, what happened? The Honda would break loose. We had to start all over. So it really made me very aware of how light I needed to be with my hands and how patient I needed to be for the horse to go through the answers, and quite frankly, how little stimulus had to be applied to get the horse to start seeking answers. I hope that kind of plants the seed with you about lightness, and we're going to talk about this probably throughout this week. But I really appreciate you joining us today. We're already here at the ranch, and obviously everybody's got horses saddled up. They're just waiting on me. So we're going to get busy today, but I appreciate you guys more than you know for joining me on the ranch road. And until next time, this is Van Hargis with Van Hargis Horsemanship.